Tuesday, August 1st. The chair detects a quorum, and so before we begin, pursuant to Tennessee Chapter number 300, time is reserved for public comment on legislative items appearing on this committee's agenda. Each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. Speakers may register in advance on the Metro Council public comment sign-up page on nashville.gov. And we do have two people who have signed up. Do we have an RJ Rubles?
Yes.
Okay, sure. And then next we have Davy Tucker
Down the hallway.
in the hallway. Okay, great. So we'll start with you, RJ. If you want to just come up, you can just pull that seat up to the middle. That's usually where we have our nominees speak. So if you'd like to speak to us there, go right ahead. And let me, I guess, set a timer. This is the first time we've had somebody in here, so I'm sorry to be a little behind. All right, you can go when you're ready.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is RJ Robles. I am the Director of Compliance at DEI with the Metro Human Relations Commission. I'm also an outspoken transgender employee for Metro. Really have been organizing around this Metro Benefits Board decision to deny gender-affirming surgery coverage for trans healthcare employees within Metro. And I am here today to call on y'all as a committee to decide, really think through your reappointment of Tom Curtis and ask that he pledge to the community his support and a yes vote for this issue. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tucker? Come on in.
Hey, good afternoon.
I'll start the timer when you're ready.
All right. My name's David Tucker. I come to speak on the appointment of Mr. Curtis to the Benefits Board. Everybody in Metro talks about the seriousness of DEI, and my contention is you don't do good DEI work that's not disruptive and it doesn't adjust the status quo. And if Metro is serious about the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, you all are the gatekeepers. You all are the gatekeepers that make a determination. I'm not trying to disparage anybody over what their positions are or what they think. For people who know me, I'm a practicing Baptist pastor. This issue is not about theology. It's about sociology. It's about an injustice is what you take for yourself that you would deny someone else. And I'm hopeful that y'all would be cognizant of that and look for somebody who will best represent what you aspire to be or what you think should be the goals and aspirations of Nashville. And that as you make these appointments to these boards and commissions, that you seriously take that into account. I know that your intent may be one thing, but we all know that impact may end up being something else. So I just ask that you would consider that. And again, not about attacking someone personally, but finding someone that's suited for this in a way that will aspire to what we think Nashville ought to be. A city that's one city for all people. A city that can accept the variances and the differences that come from that. And that you make your choices not only about this, but about other appointments also to boards and commissions. Because if you're not the gatekeeper, then we get what we get. Thank you.
All right, those are the two speakers that we have signed up, and I appreciate y'all coming and speaking to us. And Mr. Davies, especially your comments there, something that I think, as I'm still chair for 2 more meetings, and there's 2 of us coming back, that I think what was important in part of that message is that we are, this committee is the committee that vets the nominees. And I don't think that over the last 4 years we have questioned and had, not just questioning the nominees, but having conversations about with nominees about the work that they're doing in Nashville. And I really think that that's somewhere that we have failed as a committee over the last 8 years. And I hope as we know Council Lady Evans is returning because she's unopposed, and John, if you are returning as well, I hope that y'all will carry that forward. And remember that this is the committee that we have pretty much the only chance for council to hold boards and commission members accountable. And even if they are a new appointee to a board or commission, we need to be having conversations about what they plan to do on the boards and commissions, and if there have been problems on boards and commissions, like when we've had the airport authority in here, we asked them about recent things. We did that with NES too. They had a employee situation and we questioned them about it, and we should be doing that on every board and commission. So I hope, that message doesn't need to just happen for the appointments we have today, but please hold we've got a lot of appointments next meeting too, but hold the next council accountable, because I don't think that we've done a good job on that over the last 4 years, and so we can do better. So thank you all for coming. We're gonna hop into the consent agenda. Let's just be transparent, I was gonna put my own resolution on consent, but figured I'd leave it up to you guys to decide on that. So, I put amendments on consent too. So, we're gonna have RS 2023-2354, recognizing Jason Jelly Roll DeFord for his 3 CMA Music Award wins and his contributions to Antioch. Then we're also gonna have RS 2023-2355, honors the service and conduct of Sheila Rigsby, District 13's Neighborhood Watch Coordinator, on consent, along with RS 2023-2356, honoring Jeannie Seeley for the most performances in the history of the Grand Ole Opry. RS 2023-2357 recognizes Hillsborough High School boys basketball coach Rodney Thurett. Anybody else have pronunciation? On being named Coach of the Year. RS 2023-2358 commends the Mayor's Behavioral Health and Wellness Advisory Council for providing timely and essential guidance during the COVID pandemic, and begin to prioritize mental health well-being and access to services for all residents of Metro Nashville. So that's our consent agenda. Are y'all good with that? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? With that, our consent agenda passes and takes us back to item number 1, RS 2023-2352. By myself, it requests that the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation study the feasibility of deploying alternatives to fireworks and pyrotechnics during special events to better safeguard environmental protections, animal welfare, and public safety. I'm gonna make a motion to approve. Thank you for that second. And I have an amendment that I'm not seeing here, but basically the amendment added a statistic that 2023 Metro Animal Control saw the most animals being turned into them as lost after the fireworks and 4th of July festivities. And so this legislation is a non-binding resolution, just asking them to find some other environmentally friendly options. This also will, less booms helps with animals staying calm. It helps with PTSD, people who are suffering from that, veterans, as well as people with environmental health allergies such as asthma. So with that, I would like to move the motion.
On the amendment?
On the amendment. Sorry. Move the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? With that, I will renew my motion to move the bill as amended.
I have
Yeah, what's your question?
So are most of those surrenders from near the downtown fireworks show, or all the fireworks in all the neighborhoods?
It's countywide, but of course the booms and the sounds carry and travel across the county, and since this is one of the, and Sam could probably give us more information, it's one of the biggest in the southeast, one can extrapolate that those booms are not just in the downtown area.
So your hope is that they'll get rid of the fireworks and do something else instead?
No, I'm just asking them to explore other options to make it more environmentally friendly, and keeping fireworks and bring in some other exciting visual activities and things can be blended into the process and the show.
Okay, thanks.
Erin?
I just wanted to know, is downtown considered a neighborhood, and do people in downtown have pets?
downtown is considered a neighborhood and people downtown do have pets. In addition
What's that
to
a sign?
people having pets, we do have, as y'all know, we have a lot of non-owned animals, companion animals, and wildlife that are affected by this, such as community cats, squirrels, possums, raccoons. This is just good for all the critters. I am not going to read the prayer of St. Francis, the friend and patron saint of animals, but I do know that St. Francis is watching. So, with that, I renew my motion.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? All right. It's okay. We'll talk to him later, St. Francis.
I'll figure out what to do before 6:30.
It's okay, Swope's voting no too, so you and Swope could be on the same voting record there.
First time.
All right, moving on to late items. Do we have a Council Lady Henderson in the area? Could somebody grab a Council Lady Henderson, please? Moving on to, Council Lady Toombs? Nothing? Council Lady Evans?
Yes.
You're late in our committee, that's okay. Late filed resolution, and we are only talking about Rule 13 here on it, but it approves an intergovernmental agreement between the U.S. Department of Transportation, NDOT, and in accepting and strengthening mobility and revolutionizing, I like that, transportation grant from the U.S. DOT to NDOT to install LIDAR and video camera technologies at key intersections and mid-block segments for near-miss data collection. So why are you late?
So, I was asked to be the sponsor of this resolution because NDOT just got this grant awarded to them, and so they wanted to move it forward if possible in order to be able to implement. It's a $2 million grant with no local match required, and so they wanted to move forward. Now, we did have questions in Budget and Finance yesterday, and I don't know if there's an NDOT representative anywhere around.
Well, we're just Rule 13.
Yeah, I know,
so-
but I was just
Yeah.
kind of bringing some additional context. And so I am fine with pulling it off and having it actually filed for the next meeting.
Will that affect the
No,
grant or anything?
Because there was outstanding questions in
Okay.
Budget and Finance, and so was kind of some consensus that, if we didn't have the answers, it should probably just be refiled in a timely way.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Council Lady Henderson? Yes. We have you down for a late filed resolution honoring the life of George Harrison Cate Jr. as the first Vice Mayor of Metro Nashville and Davidson County. So on the resolution, let's take that up. Well, why don't you tell us why you're late first?
Yes, the nature of the late file is just in coordination with the family. Mr. Cate was my constituent. He passed during the pandemic, and I think kind of late realization about that and getting everything in coordination. And I just, we're us having our 60th anniversary for Metro government. He was so important in that, and I would just ask the committee's support for that, and my apologies for not getting it timely filed.
Can it happen next time? Is there an event with the family between now and our next meeting?
I think the family would like, in conversations, to proceed with honoring him in this celebratory 60th birthday year. So I would like very much please to do it in this council term, if I may.
It's just a one reading. That's why I'm asking if it can go to the next council meeting, so it will be timely filed.
The family is intending to come at next meeting
Okay.
for it to be presented. So.
Okay. All right. Any issues with the late filed nature? Okay. So I'm going to make a motion on the resolution. Does anyone have any further questions, concerns about the resolution? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? All right. With that, you're all set, Council Lady Henderson. Do we have Toombs?
We don't have Toombs here. We have Kendra Apkowitz from the mayor's office
Okay.
to explain. I was gonna say, we had another council member sign on to it last night, and I think Budget and Finance.
Okay. Can someone explain the late nature and emergency filing?
Hi.
Hi, I'm Kendra Ackowitz. I work with the Mayor's Office on Sustainability and Resilience Issues. The nature of the late filing was the attorney we were working with had to be out of town unexpectedly to deal with an emergency, and so we did not get it in until after the deadline.
Okay, and would there be an issue if it's heard at the next council meeting?
It's cutting it tight, down to the deadline, obviously, knowing that we would have only one council meeting left, and given sort of the emerging threat that we see as climate change, it would be better to hear sooner rather than later, but we could wait if needed.
Committee?
I'm okay with it.
Either way.
Okay. We are okay? Taking us Ms. Curtis for a term expiring on June 30th, 2027. Please take the hot seat.
Spotlight on
Thank you. So the three standard questions: are you a resident here in Davidson County?
Yes.
Are you a registered voter here in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you serve on any other boards or commissions in Davidson County? All right. So I think there's been a lot of discussion. Let's just go ahead and hit this elephant in the room where we are. On the first vote that transgendered healthcare came before the Employee Benefits Board, you voted against that proposal.
Correct.
The second time it came up, you were out of town for work, is my understanding?
I was on vacation overseas.
Okay, and so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to state your position if the vote were to come up again and explain your reasoning behind your previous votes.
Sure.
We could shut that door.
Yeah, had the vote happened, I would have voted for it. For
The second time.
The second time. So that's, and the first time I did vote against it, but I did a lot of research. I hadn't done a ton of research before it. We have a lot of issues in front of us. I didn't realize really just the impact of it at the time. It was additional costs. That's the lens I looked at it through, since I'm kind of the finance person on the board. But I've talked with doctors of medicine, doctors of faith and such, and talked to a lot of family members that I know, good close friends who have children that are transitioning, and adult children, and so I've just learned a lot. So I changed my mind. So that's where I am.
So if it were to come up again during your appointment, you would vote in favor of the adding the healthcare benefits for transgendered employees and their dependents to Metro benefits?
Yeah, absent anything else that's unusual that comes before me, but if it was today, I would vote for it, absolutely.
Madam Chair, may I have
Yeah.
a word?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, Mr. Curtis informed the mayor's office prior to the vote. This is not a late coming, but prior to that second vote, he informed us that he was a yes. He'd be there. He'd done his research. He talked to folks. Additional presentations were made to board members, and he was an absolute yes. And then he advised us that he was not going to be able to make it that time, but if it would be deferred, if it'd be there, it'd been a yes. So this, I don't want to leave any impression this is some late arriving decision on his part. He communicated that very clearly.
And so the fiscal aspect of it is no longer a concern to you, and is it
No.
outweighed by the benefits to our employees?
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing what you can learn if you really jump into things. And I understand both sides of the issue, but my current feeling, and I assume it would be if the vote was tomorrow or next year, I just don't see anything would change it. But
Have there been other issues that have come before the board that you voted one way and then did homework on, and would have changed your vote?
I don't know if any have come back that I've changed it or not. So.
And it's because the issue was coming back, or because that you did the homework and you sought more information?
I think I learned a lot. Yeah, I mean, I love learning. I try to learn something every day. So I'm a lifelong learner. I'm not a doctor. I'm a finance person. I'm on the committee for finance. In fact, our endowment has done, our pension plan is one of the tops in the country from performance. I don't know if do y'all know that? Yeah, it's one of the top kind of 1 percentile amongst all peers. And we're well funded, but that's my expertise. But on healthcare, I look and try to get some leading guidance from others and conversation. And you know, I'm out in the community now talking to them. I mean, it's amazing. I'll be in a restaurant and bring it up with somebody and get a lot of looks around, and, you know, it's enlightening, so.
Do you feel that you weren't provided enough information prior to the vote beyond the fiscal issues of it? That you were maybe provided the second go-around, or?
I was provided more information the second time. I may have been provided some I didn't see. I don't recall that. It just wasn't, you know, as much in front of me. And so I think it's a natural thing to do, if you're a finance person, is don't go with the higher cost option. Once you learn more about the other issues and the other impacts that it has, to me, it's a pretty easy answer. So that's, you know, it's a logical thing to do, is to change my mind. So.
Vice Chair Roseberg.
I guess a couple questions. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
What are some of the highlights of what you've learned since then that changed your mind?
That's interesting. Well, I mean, just the emotion behind families that have children, adult children that are transitioning, and some that aren't quite adults yet, and the issues they go through. So it's you know, it's a very dear event for the families, and I haven't seen one family has taken it lightly at all, and it's entered into with a whole lot of thought. So those that have transitioned that I know, that we get Christmas cards from and everything, seem to be pretty well positioned where they are. So that's kind of
So that's what overtook the fiscal issues, is the fact that it's well thought out, the decision.
It's well thought out. You know, the feeling that there was another, you know, the person identified in a different sex in their physical body was a very sincere issue, and the family was behind them, and they had support. So you know, it's not something I run into every day. I deal with a lot of families in my business, and I deal with multi-generational issues of all kind. And so it's you know, it's just very educational.
I have a clarification question. The benefit is for employees and their family members, but it's for employees, correct? So like, this is an adult benefit, not just a children's benefit. Is that correct?
The motion that was made in front of the board after significant discussion was a motion to offer transgender benefits to those 18 and older who participated in the plan. That was the motion made by the board after lots of discussion and consideration.
So 18-year-old dependents, and employees over 18.
Yes, but can I make a piece of clarification? So, our plans today provide transgender coverage for employees and their dependents. The one portion, and I don't want to make it singular because it's not always singular, the one part of it is not covered by our plan, which was an option for self-funded plans under ACA, is transition reassignment surgeries. So, that fluctuates as far as I've seen upwards of 8 different surgeries that one may go through for transition. Different plans cover based on medical necessity or not. When I looked at, we had charts that we provided to Benefit Board that showed what would be traditionally covered under fully insured plans for Blue Cross, for Cigna, who are administrators at that time, which was the majority of those benefits, but I don't remember each one of them covering all of them. But the coverage discussion is specifically about the gender reassignment surgeries, not pre and post. Those are covered now. So when the board was contemplating the vote of 18 or older, it is for the actual transition surgeries only. Our plans today under federal law have to provide pre and post coverage now. So a child who was already starting to experience this, was seeking treatment, engaging with their family, could still receive treatment, just not the reassignment surgeries until age 18 or older.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I don't want to put you under a microscope on your answers, but it is a lot of talk of children, and I just wanted to clarify that this is the benefit for our adult employees as well, and their dependents over 18, and just wanted to, make sure that you would still be voting for this for adult working employees in addition to their 18 and
If
up
I was
children.
okay with children, I'd be okay with adults. I'm assuming the children may not be mature enough to make a decision. So I think everything 18 and older, as an adult child, as I would call them, is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
And so I treat children much more dearly. And I've assumed the adults, if they're 23 or 65, can make that decision. And, it is what it is. So,
And I'm sure in your field as well that you have clients who still refer to like my father would refer to me as his child. So
Absolutely, yeah.
even though I'm a grown up, yes.
I'm my mother's
He
child,
does it by me.
Right,
Yes,
so I'm
yes,
just
yeah.
talking generationally.
Just wanted to make sure that we
Yes.
were kind of all on that same page there.
Because a
so.
lot of my peers have children and some grandchildren, so when I'm talking to my peers or even their children, we're dealing with those things. So it's been a much easier conversation the last year.
And
So,
remind me again, because we don't all know what you do for a living. You're in wealth management.
wealth management, I'm on the investment side and family office and counsel families and private companies on finances.
And so, in addition to sitting on the benefits board, or do you sit on any subcommittees as part of that service?
I do, I'm on the IOD, Injured on Duty Committee, and I'm also on the investment committee for board members on the investment committee. So,
And so that investment committee, that's the one that has kept our pension well-funded and as a
we'll
defined.
take some credit for it, yes.
As a defined benefit rather than defined contribution?
Right, this is the defined benefit plan.
And how, do you feel that defined benefit is appropriate in this day and age, or do you think that Metro should convert to a defined contribution?
I have different opinions on that. I can go different ways. It is what it is what we're charged with. So there's a lot of good defined benefit plans, and ours is an excellent one. But, they're handled a lot of different ways. I used to finance a lot of municipalities.
But you don't see any reason for us to be changing from a defined benefit to a defined contribution in the
Well, it
next
shifts the risk.
2,
It would
3,
shift
4,
the
5
risk
years.
to the employees, and then it would take it off of Metro. So I think, I could argue for that, but that's not my place to do that, so.
And then when it comes to the injured on the job portion, I know a lot of cases come before you and things like that.
Right.
And Shannon, you may have to correct me here, but I believe that it's still set up where it's a stair-stepped benefit of depending on how long the employee is out. Is that correct? For injured on the job, or how much are they? So if somebody's injured on the
So,
job, how long
under-
are they given full pay?
That's not under the purview of the board.
Okay, that's not under IOD anymore.
Well, it is. IOD, you receive medical care for your injury on duty. I'm sorry, IOD is injury on duty. So you receive medical care. That is under the purview of the board that Tom sits on. And then there's pay. That's under the purview of the Civil Service Commission. So typically, there is a determination on pay first, and then if there's a compensable injury, typically the department's then granting the IOD pay. There is a step down, I think at 2 weeks, but to be clear, it's 100% pay tax-free. So the first 2 weeks, they're actually making more money than they would if they were actually showing up to work. So the step down to the 90% tax-free is still generally in excess of what they'd be earning just as a full-time employee working. So it's because of that tax-free status that the step down happens. And it's for as long as needed, up to 120 days. And then beyond that, there are IOD leave extensions that can be sought in front of the Civil Service Commission, or they can pursue the disability pension, which is available to all Metro employees for IOD, and that comes back under the board.
Okay. Erin.
Thank you. I wondered if I was gonna get a chance to ask a question.
Please.
So I had a chance, so I went through the records request and I got the link to be able to watch the full meeting. And have you had a chance to see the full meeting since?
2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah,
No.
or whenever it was. Okay. I would encourage you to go back and watch it. I think one of the things that struck me is, first of all, how vehement the folks against the motion were, and how guess, kind of looking at, you know, the folks who had come and spoken in favor of making the change, how there didn't seem to be anybody there that was defending their interests from my perspective. So I was kind of curious, you know, since you're coming back for your reappointment, have there been other times in these meetings where you've been really kind of the minority, potentially standing up for something that you believed in, that may have not been popular with other folks on the board?
Yes.
Can you describe kind of anything about those experiences?
It's interesting you talk about the confrontational conversation. When I got on the board in 2009, a lot of the votes were 5 versus 5. And there was a lot of very hard conversations between the two, and people voted down the 5-5 line. So it was not a very friendly interchange during most of them. I will say over the last 8 to 10 years, I think it's the committees or the board works a lot better together and seems to understand each other and appreciate each other's comments. So I haven't heard that, but I mean, today we're talking about something about the discount rate on the future liabilities of the pension plan. I prefer it go to 6.75%. It's currently at 7. If you do what I would suggest, it'd be a larger liability. We'd have to put more money aside. It'd make our, so it's, those types of things. We ended up at 7, which I think is absolutely fine. There's a lot of right answers. So the problems, and these are nice ones. But yeah, I mean, I'll stand up and defend myself if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you're not apprehensive about standing up and defending an issue that maybe you'll end up being in the minority.
I've been in the minority on quite a few.
Okay.
So yes, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I have another question, and this is not related to you at all, really. It was just as a result of me,
and I don't control
watching.
any of the others,
I
obviously.
know,
I speak for myself.
if you'd
Yeah.
be doing other things if you could control everybody, I know. But one question that I had after watching the meeting, which is really more for Hannah, I think, is since we're making these appointments, what recourse do we have, if any, when it comes to folks that we appoint and we later learn things that maybe are not necessarily the most appealing representation of, our process?
So I don't know off the top of my head, so I'd have to go research that a little bit. I believe that for council appointees, there is some sort of recall process. I don't know exactly the details of that.
3/4.
Okay, 3/4, yeah. But yeah, for other nominees, the council doesn't have recourse, but for council-approved nominees, I think that there is.
Okay, thank you for educating me, because I didn't know, and that, of course, was of interest to me whenever I was watching the meeting. Thank you.
All but no votes were non-council appointees.
First off, thank you for your service to Metro. Given your experience thus far in the position and what you've been through and what you've described to us here, what about the service in particular makes you want to continue on?
I enjoy doing this kind of thing. I mean, I've served as the 3rd commission I've been on. I was on the Fair Board, so that'd be a fun one to be on now. In the early days, I was on the Arts Commission, ran that. So,
You have a favorite?
You can plead the
is there
fifth.
such a thing as a
You can
favorite?
plead the
I don't know.
fifth,
I generally would go to those to help correct things that were perceived where they weren't working correctly. So that was kind of my history of getting on these boards or being asked to be on them to take care of dysfunctional things. So, but no, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I'm very proud of our investment performance. I will say a huge part of that is each mayor that I've been under, I've asked that they not make any recommendations to the committee on any investments. And they've all said, we'll not do it. That's not typical in a lot of places. So that has really helped us make very objective decisions. But I think it's, I enjoy doing it. It's kind of part of what I do, and I enjoy giving back. The community. Nashville's a great place. It's been, good to me, and I grew up here, so I'm kind of a unicorn, I guess, around here. Anybody else from here that grew up here, probably y'all are. So, anyways, but it's, no, I like Nashville. I've loved seeing the growth and been involved in that over the years, so.
So being involved in tough votes and a lot of 5-5s, as you mentioned, that doesn't make you want to shy away from it.
Well, that was in the past. We now work together, believe it or not. Most of the votes are 8-2. BR kind of always votes against us. Or maybe I vote the other way too.
Yeah, I was
but-
gonna say maybe you're voting against BR.
I love VR. He's great.
Yes.
He's a wonderful person, and he would appreciate me bringing him up tonight.
Yes, he would, yeah.
But I love him.
Yeah.
He's been great. But no, I've enjoyed. I mean, I've seen, the Arts Commission. We really started the gentrification downtown. The Arts Commission put it right there at 4th and Broad, or 5th and Broad, I guess it was. Relocated there across from the whatever that merchants, and that was the beginning of the gentrification, or you probably don't call it that, just the bars going down and such, and the raceway and such. We had to deal with a lot of issues out there when we were doing that.
We're still dealing with those, yeah.
Still doing with them. I came on when they had just hacked off NASCAR, and the Franz family, who said they'd never move it back, so it's nice to see that they are coming back after 30 years or so, in my opinion. And I don't know, it's been interesting. I just enjoy it. So I love punishment. Maybe. I don't know.
Thanks for that.
Councilman Rutherford, Councilman Rosenberg, and then I will be making a motion.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your service, and I also appreciate your financial expertise.
Yeah.
It's badly needed. I guess I have two concerns. I appreciate the need for fiscal responsibility, but mentioning that you're always going to go with the lower cost option isn't something I love. But more than that,
And I didn't. That for that, it was a nice default if that's all I have.
Right.
And I don't know anything else about it. So I am not a fan of low bids.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's not. I don't want to.
The other thing is we as a council have a very limited number of appointments on this, or the mayor has, and we have confirmation of a low number. And I'm concerned about the gender affirming care vote, in that the default wasn't towards looking out for people who needed something and who presented at that point, and that it was not done based on research, or and that the only thing that's happened since is the understanding of how important it is. And I appreciate that, and I don't want to dismiss the fact, that curiosity in education, that sort of thing. I just fear that the next issue might be another group that doesn't have people that then come out afterwards and speak passionately about it, and I just can't, whether we defer and do this next meeting or do this meeting, I can't. Thank you. I appreciate your service.
I understand that. I mean, it's just. After that vote, I went back and started looking at things. I mean, it wasn't a matter of, I didn't have a ton of people call me. It's just, I knew I didn't know much about the actual issue itself. So I reached out to doctors, and both, like I said, medical doctors, faith-based doctors, and other individuals, and just sought out families that I knew had young adults that had transitioned, and just started talking to them about it. So it's, it's curiosity, and it wasn't just kind of, oh geez, I'm getting a lot of pressure on this. It wasn't the case.
It was after the vote and the faith-based. Okay. Yeah.
I'm getting faith-based on both sides of the issue.
Sure.
People from the same churches. So it's not, to me, it's not a faith issue.
Yeah.
It is for individuals, but the decision I have to make is not based on that, not on my faith-based decision. So it's not what I would do. I'm not saying I believe what I'm doing is the right thing to do, but these things aren't all simple, as we know, and you just got to continue doing your research and continue trying to understand it. And I don't know anything I could have done any better. It would not be very acceptable if I had voted no and come back here this time and go, I hadn't done anything about it. I'm another no. I just hadn't changed my mind. I hadn't looked at it. So, I've learned on a lot of different things as well. So, it's just, I don't see how you couldn't go back and learn about the And I actually serve on the board of a behavioral health AI company, so I see and hear a lot of this through what we do without patients' names. So it's a very interesting, has a lot, and it's a very interesting company but we see a lot of, as those doctors and those psychiatrists and sociologists we have employed talk about it. It's been interesting.
So, Mr. Curtis, this is what I'm gonna propose we do. Your questionnaire came in late, and so typically we defer that by rule, but since you were here, I wanted to have a conversation with you, and I appreciate your openness and honesty with us today. Sitting in the hot seat, right? So, I mean, thank you for coming and starting this conversation with us. I'm gonna make a motion to defer your appointment for one meeting, as we would normally do with the questionnaires that are late.
Sure.
And quite frankly, I think that, we need to have more of our committee here to kind of discuss this. I think, while I fully trust my committee and having a quorum, I think that we do need to, the rest of the council needs to hear your answers that you share and your truth that you've shared with us today. So with that, I am gonna make a motion to defer you one meeting, and ask that you come back and reappear before us at our final meeting of the term. And so is there a second?
As in 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now, yes, sir.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, and with that, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next, we're gonna take up the Housing Authority. Yes. All right, so we've got, MDHA, Metropolitan Development and Housing Authority, appointment of, Miss, Shadinia. I got there, okay. Murphy Fletcher for a term expiring, Councilman Parker, why don't you check out this and where we are? Thank you. Miss Fletcher, if you would mind pulling, you can have this hot seat, and Miss. Or a fresh one. Okay, am I gonna say this next one correctly? Not likely. So Miss Lita, Salinas? I'm hoping the end of my term comes with like a Hooked on Phonics gift certificate. I am going to be registering for that and sending it to all of you. If you want to go ahead and pull a hot seat up too, we'll take both of y'all together. Your term would be expiring on July 1, 2027. If you don't mind scooting one way or the other, so we could share the hot action going on there. So if y'all will try to answer in as much unison as possible. No, I'm kidding. In harmony and unison. Are you a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
Are you a registered voter here in Davidson County? And do you serve on any other boards or commissions for Metro Nashville?
No, not Metro.
Okay, great. Well, with that, tell us a little bit of why you want to serve on MDHA, and then I'll open it up.
I've been on the RA board for MDHA for maybe over 10 years. Started off as assistant manager, vice president, and then I've gone to treasurer, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed just being in the midst of the people, meeting people, coming up with suggestions, solving problems, and so it's just. I'm just enthused though, really. Yeah.
Well, I've always been into helping the community, not just where I live. And I was always raised with it takes a village to raise a child. So I don't want it to just be us being neighbors. I want it to feel more like a village again. So I've done mentoring for young ladies between the age of 10 to 13. I've also done community work. I've done volunteering. It's always been about helping others and wanting to empower and, push people towards, those opportunities. Because a lot of times we don't get those opportunities. I've been around people who just said, well, I wish I would have known. So, if I can be that voice to say, hey, can you come to this neighborhood, this community, and just pretty much to see the whole neighborhood, not just one side of the street grow and be on the rise. I want to see the whole community be on the rise.
I was just gonna ask, what are some of the things that you all would like to advocate for in joining?
Mine would be education. That would be my top priority. And then for our seniors, just getting them more involved, getting them out, that would be my pet peeve. Yeah.
Mine would be literacy. That's a big thing. I feel like if the children or even adults, because I work with seniors as well, if they're comfortable with reading and understanding what they have, it's a different kind of confidence. So just literacy would be one of my big things, and just building a bridge so that it doesn't, I know it on the outside, when we have so many tourists, it looks like everybody is on the same page together, but there is still division, there's still a lot of inequality, so if we can kind of balance that, that would be great.
Thank you. John, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Good. All right. Sorry, I had to walk out for a second. All those in favor, do I have a motion for both ladies? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. We'll see you in the main chamber.
Thank you.
And with that, we will move on to the Transit Authority appointment of Dr. Aaron Thompson for a term expiring on May 18th, 2028.
I appreciate it, but I am not a doctor, so. Thank you. Unless you
Oh, did I
speaking
make you a
life into me,
doctor?
I appreciate
I'm
it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I was multitasking.
Does this come with a doctorate? Do I get a doctorate for being on? Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Honorary.
Just trying
Okay.
to,
All right, I'll take it.
as multitasking, I
Yeah.
forgot to give our card to, our assistant, my card to order us dinner, so, sorry.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. All right, same routine. Are you a resident of Davidson County?
Yes.
Registered voter?
Yes.
Do you serve on any other boards or commission here?
No.
All right. So your questionnaire says planning commission, but you're actually here for transit.
I think it should have been changed. I apologize. That was an old application, and so yeah. it should have been
So,
changed.
you like transit better than land use?
So my background's in architecture, and so in doing that, I've been dealing with land and land access for a very long time, and so just being a resident here for almost 20 years, want to serve and be a part wherever I can help. And so yeah, transit is one of them.
It all goes together, doesn't it?
It does.
Does that mean we're gonna have more creatively designed bus stations and things?
I'm hoping for hovercrafts, right? I mean, that's what we were promised, right?
I will say, there was a hint. My favorite is the sewing needle at the at Centennial Park on the backside by the dog. So, any other crafting designs, Mr. Bland, that you may need, I am going to be off council and available to help consult there. So, I will call you. Knitting needles, so on and so forth. Rosenberg, any questions?
I have none.
All right, Aaron.
I don't either.
What did I say at the beginning of this meeting, y'all?
I know.
You said starting next term.
Okay, I'm ready. Here, I got a
See where
question.
you see what this is like. Would anybody like to run for council? Thank you,
Question, yes.
Aaron.
So what do you want to accomplish on this particular board?
I guess I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to work. Being a resident for almost 20 years and, commuting in from Donaldson into downtown every day to go to work and realizing that I'm complaining about the traffic, but I'm not doing anything to help. So, that was one of the things that my parents instilled in me. And so, I'm just trying to pay it forward and be willing to help. So I'm willing to learn and then whatever else I can do to help and provide my 2 cents in.
Okay,
That's what I'm here for.
sounds good.
Transit costs a little bit more than 2 cents, so you might need more. Go ahead, Jen.
I just think that's a great answer. That sounds good.
And Dave already has gotten what he needed from MTA, and that's why he's leaving this term. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I'm excited to serve and just, yeah.
What do you say to people when they say, we don't need mass transit because the buses are empty when you get to Bellevue, when you get to Donaldson, when you get to the end of the lines?
I think people are not really as engaged as they say that they are, right? I mean, I think when you get engaged, you really see what is happening around the city and you understand how all of it's connected, and that as we continue to grow, we can't continue to grow the same way and leave things as they were 20 years ago. So, yeah, I think I just push back on them and really question them and how engaged are you really? You know, how much public transportation do you take? You know, when do you go down? Are you going only on the peak hours or on the off hours? And, you know, really drill down into it and not just take the surface answer.
Yeah, I think we need some more of you. With that, I'll move to approve. Great, we've got a second, we've got a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any against? Any abstentions? We'll see you in the main chamber.
And I'll take that doctor too in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, actually, do you need a parking pass or did you take the bus?
No, I do.
Wait, we're not done.
Tall picks, we're going a tall route.
And then auditorium commission, do we have anybody here to be interviewed? Okay, great. If you would like, what we are gonna do is, because there were some questionnaires were turned in late, some people couldn't be here, I'm happy to interview you today, but I'm gonna move to defer the vote, to the final meeting. And so if you don't want to come back and would like to be interviewed today, that works. If you want to be interviewed today and still come back, that's fine. If you know, whatever.
I'll say whatever's best for y'all, truthfully. So, but if it's best for you to have all the candidates here and interview with the same amount of people,
I mean, if it's okay with you, I think it'd be great if put everybody on more even footing to do it
Yeah.
together, and you're not 2
And
weeks
agree with that.
And I
deeper in our
apologize that-
memory. Yeah.
it's all good.
I'm sorry the message didn't get
Baseball's
to you.
going on across the street from where
So
I
you're
live.
gonna
I can
go-
go watch it in the South Street.
So you walked here, you don't need a parking pass?
I don't. I live down
Would
the
you like to
street,
be
so.
on the MTA board? No.
You'll hear it next week, but I live and I walk by the auditorium every day. So
Great, well, thank you, and hopefully you've seen our dog and pony show here, and we'll be extra prepared over your other nominees next time. So with that, I'm gonna move to defer the auditorium commission for one meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
I've got a second. All those in favor, any against, any abstentions? Thank you. All of that is deferred, and that concludes our show today. Thank you.